and welcome to the Green Business Podcast, where we meet exciting climate entrepreneurs. I am your host, Bharti. India has mountains of plastic waste. In fact, there is so much of it world over that it even has a respectable name called RDF, or refuse derived fuel. A lot of companies have tried to create value out of it by converting it into oil through a process called pyrolysis, but technology hasn't scaled or it hasn't worked. My guest today is Manoj from GoEnvi Technologies, which is trying to reinvent pyrolysis to make it both profitable and scalable. Manoj has been at it for about 10 years and he has had some success and has some installations running. So let's learn more about it. Hi Manoj, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bharti. It's a pleasure to join you today. I'm Manoj Natarajan. I'm the founder of oil-Goenvi Technologies. We've been doing chemical recycling for the last 13 years. We have got one patent already granted on this and a couple of them in the pipeline. So plastic waste, the biggest challenge is that it is so diverse right now. It is dynamic. And the challenge is to segregate this waste and then process it. That is the conventional way of doing it. Whereas what we are able to do is, irrespective of the mix, we can handle mixed plastic waste and convert that into a fuel. India is dependent on imported crude. So, we are bridging that gap where we create an alternate fuel which can replace fossil derived fractions. And also it can be looked upon as a feedstock for creating new circular plastics. So, right from waste to creating an energy product which readily has a buyer or a market, and creating circular plastics. That is the entire vision for what we are doing.
Okay, so let's go back and let's start from the beginning. Tell us how you started GoEnvi.
Okay. So there's a story behind it. Like, I was working as a contract manufacturer for a German MNC. This is in 2005, 2006. So I took a break for my marriage, and when I came back, they had already, taken over my labor. So, I was jobless all of a sudden. So you are married with a wife, and your source of income has gone out completely. So then we had this factory which is on the outskirts of Mumbai. So while traveling, I used to see villagers actually burning all the waste on the side of the highway. So, I was also looking out for a product because I had decided that I will not, do any work for other companies. I will not be dependent on them. So this just got my attention, and I started researching on it, reading a lot of papers, and then started to experiment because we had the manufacturing setup at that point of time. So we were doing water treatment based manufacturing at that time. And we started developing a lot of prototypes, and initially first time when we saw the oil, there was a lot of excitement in the team as well as me, noticing that, okay, this is going to work. So we scaled it up. So, like any startup would, imagine that, when you're doing it at a very small scale, you see the success, you are very happy, and you believe that any scale can be done. So we scaled it up to a 5 TPD capacity in 2013, and we realized that it is not working. So it was a big setback where, we realized that you cannot get a standard output from a dynamic waste unless you crack it at a particular range of hydrocarbons. So we started working on catalysts, and by 2015 we had actually figured out what to do, how to make the process more efficient, how to create a standard output, and then we started commercially selling in 2016. So far, at that time, the company was Innova Engineering and Fabrication, and we formed the startup in 2019.
Right.
So by 2019, I had done about 6-7 installations with few in CSIRs. Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, and one Nagarpalika in Gujarat.
Hmm.
So this was gist of what we were able to do at that time. Since
Ah,
2019, we have developed multiple products now. We handle not only plastics but mix RDF. RDF is refuse derived fuel from the municipal stream, which is a mix
right.
of textile, plastics, papers, cardboard, everything together, and has zero commercial value. So out of
Hmm.
this, we create 70% saleable energy product, that is 40% coal, 30% biofuel, and syngas to power the process. We are also doing biomass to biochar. So agricultural waste accounts to almost 30% greenhouse gas emission in India. So we started working on that. Today, we have already scaled up to 10 TPD per module,
Hmm.
and the next generation of machines would be 20 TPD and above.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Lovely. And world over, any waste is typically incinerated because creating value out of waste has not been commercially viable, right? And that's not
Yes.
just in India; it has happened world over. So, and you are doing it at a smaller scale, 10 tons per day or 20 tons per day. So,
Yes.
what is it that you have to do to make it commercially viable?
So even our 10 tons per day machine is profitable. There is a
Ah,
40% return on investment there. So the only challenge is if you look at the impact will not happen with smaller machines.
hmm,
You need to tackle the landfill, then you need 100 tons per day or 200 tons per day module,
right.
and
Ah,
that is exactly where we want to put our energies into. But then it is difficult to get into that space where the politicians and the waste contractors, these are all big players,
hmm,
and for a startup like us to enter into that space, get access to the waste, um, also the investments are huge because ours is a capex oriented startup.
hmm.
So these are all bottlenecks which we are trying to tackle now.
Hmm. No, what I meant was that waste is burned because in the process of creating value, you end up spending more than what you get out of the value added products, right? So, how are you addressing that at GoEnvy?
No, that used to happen long time back. Now,
Okay.
like for us, if we are putting in 5 tons of plastic, we take about
Ah,
250 liters of our own produced fuel.
ah,
And once we have syngas, we switch over. So 250 liters is what we spend to create about 3000 liters of fuel.
hmm,
Um,
hmm,
our monthly consumption of electricity in a 5 TPD machine is not more than 30,000 rupees.
hmm,
So it is energy efficient, and it creates profit for the investor.
hmm. Okay, but pyrolysis has been around in India also, I think at least 10, 15 years. We have had companies attempting pyrolysis and it has not
Yeah.
scaled, right? We don't see every municipality having a waste to oil plant. So, what is it that you are doing differently which will enable you to scale?
See, the biggest difference is that most of the plants are at very small scale. So if you look at majority of the startups, when you are at a small scale, the economics will not work because the
Hmm,
energy requirement will be higher, uh, plus the cost of your control system, everything will be on the higher side, and you are processing almost negligible waste there.
hmm,
So when you deploy such small machines to a municipal corporation, they are not actually seeing any value. They are actually looking it as an expense to dispose,
okay.
not as a profit-making entity.
Hmm,
Also, 90% of the pyrolysis machines that came in during this space did not work, be it machine design or having the proper catalyst to crack mixed plastic waste or availability of proper waste. So some of the systems need you to segregate and only
hmm,
charge a particular type of waste,
hmm.
which is very difficult to do. It is not
Yeah.
going to happen. Some of them do not use catalyst, so they produce a product which is thermally created, which with temperature changes its phase. So it can go viscous, it will go light. Um, So these are all the challenges which we also faced in our initial days, which we
Hmm.
tried to break through by integrating a proper design, making changes to our process, and developing catalysts which could work with the entire system.
But
Our
it's all right.
success is
Yeah.
the mix of all these three and God's grace.
Okay, and how will you go to the market? Like, are you going to sell it to the municipalities? You said that it's a capex oriented model, so you will set up plants
Yes.
at municipalities and they will take it from you, or how is it going to scale?
So far we have done directly a sale, and the OPEX was also operated by the municipal corporation. So the one
Hmm.
example that we did, we offered them the technology, we trained their people on how to run the machine, and then as a AMC we support them.
Hmm.
But now the next model that we want to work on is where we build bigger machines. The capex can be partially through an investment coming from either the corporates or an independent investor, and having access to carbon funding is also a way that we are looking at. So today the municipal corporations are willing to offer you the infrastructure and the waste for free.
Hmm.
Your scope of work is to get the machine, deploy it, and run it. They are not worried about the high capex anymore. They don't want to burn their fingers again. So that is the
Hmm. Hmm.
reason why they are not investing.
Right. So have you like this municipality model? So this is going to work. You are going to go to market through municipalities, and you said you have done some of it already, right?
We did one installation with Petlat Nagarpalika in Gujarat.
Huh.
We are in talks with couple of smart cities now. So that is in pipeline, where the deployments will be managed either through us or through them.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. And so eventually you will be like a project developer. You go to municipality, set up your plant, and they pay for the you incur the capex, and they buy the oil from you. This is how it is going to work. How will you make revenues?
No, no, no. They will
Huh.
not buy anything from us. It is
Huh.
just getting the waste disposed, because today municipal corporations, for example, if it is mixed plastic waste or RDF, they spend about 800 rupees to 1000 rupees in
Yeah.
disposal. So they
Yeah. Yeah.
send it to cement plants and they have to pay for the disposal.
Hmm.
Now, if you look at, for example, a landfill in Mumbai gets approximately 6,000 to 7,000 tons of waste, of which 30 to 35% is your RDF. In that mix, around 15% is your plastic.
Right.
So 30% of all input uh, either landfill or has to be paid and disposed.
Hmm.
Whereas in our case, this waste can go into a plant where you create alternate fuels, coal, which will be used by power plants for power generation, and the liquid fuel for all the heating applications that we have.
Hmm.
So both are genuine products which we, India being an importer of crude needs
Huh.
the end product.
Right. No, so municipality will pay you for disposal of waste, and you will set up the machine at your own cost, and you will also make revenues via selling your products, right?
Yes, yes, because they are not making an investment on the capex.
Yeah, true.
They are saving on the waste disposal cost, uh,
Yeah,
that they are bearing right now. And we
yeah.
can have a small tipping fee of 1 rupee, 2 rupees, or 50 paise to do the pre-processing of the waste to make it suitable for our input.
Okay. And so going forward, next 1 year, what is the capex plan looking like? What are the other things that you're
So, see, we recently um, entered the UK market. So we are looking at
Ah,
upgradation of our fuels to make it suitable for various other applications that we have
right.
in the pipeline. So the R&D is from some university in the UK. We are tying up with them right now.
Huh.
Also, we are looking at piloting in the Europe because we see a huge opportunity there in terms of the quality of the waste that is available.
Hmm.
So that is something that is happening. In India, our target is to have our 20 DPD self-owned system, where we showcase the technology at a grander scale and tie up with multiple municipal corporations. So, the idea is to have the infrastructure owned by ourselves. We become the owners of carbon credits or plastic credits and create and sell the products in bulk to the large buyers, because today what is happening is when we do it on a smaller scale, we are not able
Huh.
to tap into the big corporates. They do not want small volumes, and take the pain of registering a vendor for very small quantities. So you need to create enough quantities for you to actually get onto their list and start supplying.
And lastly, Manoj, so is this process of handling plastic and creating oil out of it, what are the environmental footprints of this?
So, like I said, in our process for 5 tons, we are spending about 250 liters of our own generated fuel from waste. So,
Ah,
if you do the entire analysis, the products are 90% carbon negative as compared to a fossil fraction. So, this savings can be taken up by the corporates who have large carbon emission, and that is exactly the reason why there is a demand for the end products by the corporates today.
no, so there is no residue, there is nothing out of this process that comes
All are
out that has
saleable
to be
products.
handled.
No, no. All are saleable products. So, for example, with plastics, if it is pure plastics that we get, food waste or other kind of waste, we have 10 or 15% residue, which easily goes as a blend with coal. It has slightly lower calorific value than the conventional coal, but then there are imported coals with higher calorific value. So they blend it together to bring down the calorific value. Oil, like I said, it is replacing diesel, kerosene, and LDO in boiler applications specifically, and also hot mix plants where for road construction. They are the major consumers.
No, there are no safety aspects of running a petrochemical. This is a petrochemical unit, right? In a way. So
Yes, yes.
those have a lot of safeguards. So are there no environmental or safety related aspects to, or are there any safety related aspects that you would want to highlight?
Definitely. I mean, see, it's a high risk project, right? Because you are handling hydrocarbons. So
Right.
your process, your machine design, the components that you use, the bypasses that you built in the system in case there is a emergency, how do you safeguard, how do you salvage the problem? All those things are part of the design. In our stack, hardly you can see any smoke or any particulate matter being emitted. And it's a complete clean process. We have been audited by giants like NTPC. We recently had a visitor from Givaudan, BASF. All these guys have visited us, have seen the process. So definitely there are risks. If you these are more of human errors,
Yeah.
and if
Okay.
your machine is not capable of solving them or salvaging the problem when it occurs, then there is a problem. So we have gone through all this and then built the machine. So
And you have been at it now for 12 or 13 years with some
yes.
progress. So, what has been the journey like? What is the most challenging part of doing this?
See, when we started, there were no teachers for us, right? It was like on a plain paper, we are sketching things and doing it.
Ah,
Even institutes were not working on this problem at that point of time, and we couldn't get any support from them. So it was the hard way around, right? Getting the plastic waste, developing a small reactor, seeing what happens, get the product, get it tested. So it was a bootstrap company trying to solve a major problem without any external support.
right.
As the time progressed, we started creating the fuel. Now the second challenge is in Indian market, when you create a product out of waste and you take it to your customer, they would say why we should buy your trash,
Yeah.
right? Why we should buy a poor quality product as compared to a refinery? Why we should
Right.
shift to it? So that was the second challenge we tried to solve by creating a standard product every time. Because with plastics, the challenge was that every
Yeah.
time you're getting a
Yeah.
different product.
Input. Yeah.
So my initial customer base would, complain. They would give a call and say, "Oh, hey, this time you have given another product. What have you done?" So that was a challenge which kept on my mind that, I'm creating a different product, and every time I sell, I would be on fire, thinking whether this is going to work for the customer or not, whether it is going to choke his burners. So we've solved that. Now we know exactly that any plant where I have deployed a machine and the catalyst, I can buy from there without worrying about it and give it to the end customer. So that standardization has become.
Lovely. So now your machine will work irrespective of how the waste is, right?
Yes, yes. Very, very, very similar products coming from all the plants.
Okay. Okay. Lovely, lovely. It was lovely talking to you, Manoj, and thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak to you. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.